The explosion that killed Solicitor General Floyd Hoard didn't begin on the morning of August 7, 1967. It began decades earlier, long before the bomb, long before the raids, long before the courtroom battles that would grip the state of Georgia. To understand why Floyd Hoard became one of the biggest threats organized crime in North Georgia had ever faced, you have to first understand the man many investigators, witnesses, and court records simply referred to as the old man, A.C. Clifford Park. Today, when people talk about the Dixie Mafia, names like Billy Sunday Burt, R.B. Stokes, and others usually dominate the conversation. But decades before many of those names became household legends throughout the South, another figure was quietly building influence in the hills of Jackson County. Unlike many of the men who followed, Cliff Park rarely sought attention. His power wasn't built through headlines, it was built through relationships. Long before investigators ever connected his name to one of Georgia's most infamous murder cases, Cliff Park was simply another young boy growing up in the Cunningham district of Jackson County. Like countless North Georgia families during the early 20th century, the Parks lived modestly. Several generations often shared the same home. Children worked alongside parents and grandparents. Everyone contributed. Life revolved around the seasons, the crops, the lands. Money was scarce. Opportunities even scarcer. Public records place the Park family squarely inside that world, a world where surviving another winter often mattered more than planning for the future. But throughout the mountains and foothills of North Georgia, the word farmer sometimes carried more than one meaning. For generations, illegal whiskey had been woven into the economy of rural communities, not because everyone wanted to become outlaws, but because legal farming often wasn't enough to keep food on the table. The collapse of cotton prices, the devastation caused by the boll weevil, and later the economic hardships of the Great Depression forced many rural families to look elsewhere for income. Some left for factory jobs, others cut timber. Some simply packed up and moved away, others stayed and quietly entered the whiskey business. Like many young men of his generation, Cliff Park eventually left Jackson County to serve in the military. When his service ended, he returned home. He married, started a family, purchased a home. Public records show that home carried a value of $1,200, a significant investment for a rural family during that era and the equivalent of tens of thousands of dollars today. On paper, Cliff Park continued identifying himself as a farmer, but according to later law enforcement investigations, another story was beginning to unfold. Years before Floyd Hoard ever opened his liquor investigation, years before the Yellow House, years before the bombing, Cliff Park's name had already begun appearing in federal liquor investigations. Authorities accused him of violating federal liquor laws. He eventually served time in federal prisons. To investigators, these weren't isolated incidents. They were early signs of something much larger taking shape in North Georgia. Because making whiskey was only half the business. Moving it, that was where fortunes were made. Every successful operation depended on horsepower, fast engines, skilled mechanics, trusted drivers, and automobiles capable of disappearing down dirt roads long before deputies could catch them.